Hi guys, welcome to the Silver Report. Today is Monday, January 23rd, 2017. Silver is currently trading at 1724, and gold is at $1,215.60. So we are on the move up right now. That's great. I wanted to get into some of the economic news and some updates on the Eurozone. In Greece, Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, he recently pushed through a pension boost and VAT suspension, which the controlling powers of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, says it violates the 2015 bailout. And these world bankers, they control all of Europe. This is where the problem comes in. They violated the 2015 bailout, they're saying, that they received, that kept their country and the world from economic collapse at the time. But the motive for creating the euro is justice. Number one, he was forced to withdraw the funding. And because it is not in line with the agreement, the creditors and the International Monetary Fund dictated that additional tax hikes and further pension cuts are necessary to meet its metrics. And this is exactly what you need to be aware of when it comes to international debt, when it comes to rising debt, because it's kind of hard to get distracted with the size of the numbers, right? What does 20 trillion mean? And what we're seeing in euros, that they went into this agreement to form one Europe currency and to unite all of the countries politically, economically, essentially taking over all of Europe as one massive economic country and using it. I mean, they're only short a euro army, and they would be short of their goals, and to ultimately eliminate sovereignty from these countries. And so that's what these protests are about. In Greece, for example, it's not that they do this. For example, this economic crisis was the perfect fall through. America, we went through in 2008 this economic crisis, so it was a perfect fall through, because then all of these other countries began to get into trouble, so they needed to take bailouts. Where did they take bailouts from? From the IMF. It's just a different form of the Federal Reserve. These banks have been controlling the world's economies for a long time, long before they got control of America back in 1913. So that's exactly why they wanted to get us under the Federal Reserve System. But what has happened is that they're no longer just simply controlling elections, but they're taking countries and taking sovereignty. For example, the people gathered together. They voted. They said, we want to leave the EU. It was a big panic around, the Grexit. And then what happened? And he said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave the European Union. And then they came and they met with him and they pulled him back in a back room, and he came out and he resigned. He was elected to pull them out of the European Union. He came out of that room, that little 20-minute conversation, and he resigned from his elected office. I no longer want to rule this people. So they pretty much told him, you're not going to leave the EU. This is not a possibility. So we see now, again, when they want to go through, and what they say is a violation of the bailout terms is to increase the pensions, to cut taxes in their own country, is a violation of the terms. So now they're forcing them to withdraw the funding. So now they're controlling the taxing, and this money is not going to benefit Greece. It's not going on infrastructure spending or schooling or education. This money is going directly to the International Monetary Fund, and that was the reason that they wanted to get them in there. And this is why they benefit from debt. This is why they benefit from sovereign debt, because whenever we say that America is 20 trillion in debt, where do you think that money's coming from? It's being printed by the Federal Reserve. It's the same system. We're 20 trillion in debt. Soon they're going to be controlling our tax policy. They're going to be controlling what happens in this country soon. And this is a big reason why our infrastructure has not been fixed. Why the money that goes to taxes is not being used on education, which is why we have budget crises throughout this country in the schooling system, where they can't even purchase furniture or desks or teachers, or people are being laid off. Last year we went through one of the worst. These schools were bankrupt, massive school districts, and there was a freeze on all spending. And we need to keep an eye on this. It is because this impending debt over the United States is the reason why there's on the border of revolution through the Eurozone, and the reason why Greece will leave. They'll vote someone in and they will leave. And the thing we need to look at, what kept them before, that little backroom conversation where they said that you're not going to be able to leave, and then Great Britain votes and they can't stop them from leaving. And they're hashing out terms to be able to leave the euro, and it's going to follow through that Greece will follow them. Without Great Britain and the euro, Greece will have a better chance creating its own currency, breaking out of this system. The whole debt, it wasn't even theirs in the beginning. They only had debt. They had a surplus going into creating the euro, and then whenever they get in this system, then they break their country into such severe debt that now they're controlling policy, they're controlling tax policy, controlling the elections. And what happens when somebody really wants to leave? All of the money that is created by this International Monetary Fund and these other countries in the Eurozone that are profiting from this scenario, in fact, the true rulers of the Eurozone, they're able to control the media, control the news channels, and decide who they want to be elected in their country and influence the elections. But we see that the people, overwhelmingly voted to leave the euro. They're fed up. They're not going to do it. And this further just proves why, is because the country has no ability to control. It's no longer sovereign. It's given up sovereignty. It tells the people we have no choice. This Goliath bank that controls our country is now going to take more of our taxes. And they're not going to put up with that. More than that, that's now France, the Netherlands, Italy, Greece. Britain is already leaving. They're already hashing out plans. So we have elections coming up in France and the Netherlands and Italy. Greece is going to be leaving. The man who's leading in the polls right now, he wants to pull them out. He wanted to provide the citizens a pension increase, and he was not able to. It's a violation of their terms. So they see now that the Eurozone is only hindering their country's growth. It's impoverishing the people. It's taking over their nation's sovereignty. It's creating a one government for all Europe that overrules the elected governments. And the German powerhouse, even, of the EU is the highest creditor, the highest lender. It's supposed to be this economic powerhouse for the EU. It has elections coming up. And the people in Germany are not happy. They're not happy. They have a significant migrant crisis, a flooding of their streets with millions of people from these other countries, not even coming from Syria, coming from all over the impoverished world. Their unemployment rates, which are already high in places like Greece, Great Britain, the unemployment rates that are already high through the whole Eurozone, even Germany, are getting worse. We have these workers that will come in and work for less. They're having competition for jobs. So we see that the Eurozone is on the ropes, and we're having a definite struggle, and we are going to see some massive turbulence coming up in the markets. It's great to see silver and gold on the rise already this morning, but it's going to become a safe haven, especially if they're going to have their currency collapse, because it will. How many countries? It's not as though they all don't want to leave. Only a few countries want to keep the euro in place, and they're the most powerful and the richest countries. And also the IMF, which is no countries, but is the controlling power, the true ruler of all Europe at this point. And they will cause revolutions. They will overthrow governments in order to keep power. And so we have instability coming. We are going to see, there was a big panic about the Grexit, big panic about the Brexit. But what about the Grexit and the Brexit all in one, and the breakdown and the collapse of the euro? It's going to destabilize the world. I know we have troubles coming in China. We have a lot of capital outflow in China, but it's going to force a lot of their wealth, even though there's a massive tax to protect the euro, a massive tax on silver purchases in Europe. on gold purchases, but it's still going to have them force their wealth out of the euro into metals in order to be able to preserve their wealth. They're in the transition because it is rocky, and the IMF is not going to go out without a fight. And we are going to see these votes coming up, and it's something that's going to happen in the immediate future. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe. There'll be more videos coming out like this. I try to keep up with them when I can. Like the video. It gives me an idea of better of my audience. Share the videos, get the word out. We have to wake the world up to what's really going on in our economies and the dangers that they're in, and get prepared. Be safe. And again, thank you guys so much for joining me, and be sure to subscribe. Have a great day.